Here we have a watch from Zelos. Let's open her up. Let's take a look inside. We get the warranty card with all your details and the box itself. So here we get a travel case, which is generally the case with Zelos. You get a 3 watch roll, nice and functional watch packaging. And here's the watch. We'll put this to the side and we'll get the stickers off. Here it is, guys. This is the Zelos Helica. Now some quick specs. This watch is coming in at 39mm for its case diameter, a lug to lug of 45.5mm, a lug width of 20mm. The watch has a boxed sapphire crystal and has a thickness of 11.9mm including that crystal. It has 100 meters of water resistance with a screw down crown, and it's running on the Miyota 9015. Starting at the dial, this specific piece has the Wave mother of pearl dial, and you can see it does its namesake justice. Now, what I like about Zelos is they do a great job at using mother of pearl, and what I like about this specific dial here is it tones down that mother of pearl effect and uses it to enhance the overall theme and look of the watch, giving the dial this very aquatic appearance, and really just works well to give off that wave-like look. The machining and detail work here is extremely clean, and it allows the light to just cast these interesting shadows against those wave textures and really just adds so much depth and interest to this dial. Just moving it around is so mesmerizing. It really does remind me of the ocean. That mother of pearl really is just a great pairing with the design of this dial, and you can see when I'm shining it through, even in the darker shades, it still gives off that depth of the ocean, and as it gets lighter, it's like coming closer to the surface, and it just works so well. The color, the mother of pearl, and the textures all combine beautifully to give off this great composition. And I like that the blue here is more on the subtle side with this grayish hue to it, allowing more of that green and purple from the mother of pearl itself to come through. It really just ties everything together and looks fantastic. At the 6 o'clock, we do get a date window, and this date wheel itself is actually color matched to the dial. So you do get that added bit of cohesion, and I like that attention to detail. Also like that being at 6 o'clock, it does give the watch that added look of symmetry while still having that date feature. For the hour markers, we're getting polished applied indices, and they do have this pointed look to them. Now each one also has this 3/4 sectioning, which appears to section off 2 different colors of lume, which is also the case for the hour hand there. Now the hands themselves do have this skeleton, semi-skeleton like look where the bases have an empty structure to them. Then we get into the lume filled segments. The seconds hand also has this yellow colored tip, also lume filled, and the hands themselves are also polished to match those hour markers there. And I like how the hands themselves also have that angular pointed look to really just tie in with all of those indices. Now here's a shot of the lume, and we can see that the sectioning components of the indices and hands do separate to different colors of lume. Closer to the center we get blue, and on the outer edge we get green. But when it comes to the hands, we can see the hour hand there does have the green on the tip, which I actually quite like as it gives you that contrast against the hour markers themselves, so you can clearly see where it's pointing and just gives that added legibility. The lume here is fantastic, and it looks really good with the contrasting colors to really just emphasize those segments. Coming to the case, we're getting a very angular architecture with a mix of brushing and polishing. We get circular brushing on the top of the lugs into polished bevels and brushed sides. You can see the lugs here really emphasize that sharp and angular appearance with bevels on the inner portion as well, and really just give the watch this dynamic and sharp appearance to it, which does match that dial and those pointed hour markers. The finishing itself is fantastic with crisp lines and clean transitions from the brushing to the polishing, and it's especially important when we consider the design of this case, because those transitioning edges between the brushing and the polishing do emphasize the overall shape of this case and really do bring out the lines and the sharpness of its design. Now, unfortunately, we don't get a display case back, but we do get this deep engraving of this wave-like pattern in a circular motion that does do some interesting things when we shine through the light. So still something good to look at. Coming to the bracelet, we are getting a female end link construction with a 4mm taper from 20mm at the lugs to 16mm at the clasp. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of this bracelet. I really do think it elevates the look of this watch, and it does match that case quite nicely because if you look at it, it has this angular look to it, just like the case. Now it is predominantly brushed, but it does have in between each link polished facets or polished bevels there. And these polished components in conjunction with the construction of the links do give the watch this element of flashiness to it despite being predominantly brushed. But because it's predominantly brushed, you do get the added benefit of hiding scratches a lot easier because most of the surface that will be scratched is brushed. The clasp is solid and milled and does have an inbuilt on-the-fly adjustment system. So with the press of the button here, the Zelos logo, you access the micro adjustment. So if we look underneath, we can see when we press the button, we can slide the micro adjustments back and forth there. Find your position and lock it into place. And it feels solid. Here it is on wrist. Now I have about a 6.5 inch wrist for your reference, and this watch wears extremely comfortably. Now, despite its angular and sharp appearance, it actually contours with the wrist extremely well. The lugs do have this slight downward angle that really help it just wrap around, and the female end links do its job at allowing the bracelet to just contour nicely as well. Now, no hot spots at all. The clasp can feel a little chunky at times because of how thin this taper is compared to the size of the clasp, but overall it's not really a big issue. We can see even from further away, the details of the dial still come through, and we can see that mother of pearl working in tandem with that wave texture and pattern to really just give off this oceanic aquatic appearance, and it's just so mesmerizing to look at. The yellow tip of the second hand is also quite noticeable against the blue, which is great. That added contrast for added legibility. And the watch overall just has this really imposing look and presence about it. Overall, I think this is a fantastic release from Zelos, and I'm really liking what they've been doing recently with their newer watches. It really seems like Zelos is just evolving at a faster pace compared to other brands out there, giving us interesting bracelets, dials, and case designs to really just implement more unique timepieces into the watch world. There's my first impressions of the watch, and it is quite an impressive looking timepiece. Let me know your thoughts on this watch in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more watch content. I'll see you in the next one.